Having been in business as an accountant and tax advisor for 30 years at the end of January 25, by the way, there's one thing that's a common theme, and that's people worrying about their tax, in particular, how they pay for it. Now, if you're one of those people who can't find the money to pay your tax, what do you actually do? Well, in this video, I'm going to outline the important things to remember, what you need to do, and the key thing is you must not panic. HMRC has the reputation of being this big beast that is very unfriendly, and if you deal with it correctly, you can reduce your stress, avoid those extra penalties, and get a clearer path to settling any tax debt that you may have. Now, the first thing you should do is recognize that you have a problem and stay calm. Stay tranquil. It's very easy to get overwhelmed when you know you cannot pay your tax bill in full. You might worry about those late payment penalties, the interest charges, or even at worst case, any recovery or legal action. However, ignoring the problem, being that ostrich hiding under the duvet, if ostriches do that, is not the way to go. Keeping calm is your first step. HMRC, believe it or not, do appreciate that people get into financial difficulties and they can't always pay the taxes due. So you need to make sure that you're serious about settling what you owe, instead of letting fear and anxiety be those obstacles. Please do not be that person. Secondly, check what the official guidance is saying. So if you realise you can't pay, it's a good idea to see what you can do. So there's a link in the video for clear information on what's to be done. Speak to your accountant, obviously. If you don't have an accountant, there should be some helpful advice online. Now, if you're unable to pay in full, first of all, make sure your return is being filed. And you can come up with something called a time to pay or a payment plan. Think about arranging an instalment arrangement with your supplier. You're effectively doing the same thing, except it might be a bit more punitive. Now, thirdly, it's really important to understand what the tax bill is in connection of, and make sure you fully understand the bill that you have in front of you. Now, sometimes tax bills can be confusing for the best of us. Before you make contact with HMRC online or over the phone, make sure you understand what the bill is about. Are there any issues or payments on account in there? You need to confirm and clarify what it is that you owe money for, and what's the due dates by which you should have made payment, and when the interest and penalty charges are likely to kick in, if not already. There may be a mistake, that does sometimes happen, so clarify what's going on, and again, speak to your accountant or tax advisor if you have one. If not, it's worthwhile getting one. They may spot mistakes that are being made, especially if you filed it on a DIY basis, and be able to help with a lot of that problem solving. Now, key thing is contact HMRC as quickly as possible. Some people delay, interest will carry on, and potentially you could get caught up in late payment penalties as well. There is a contact number for HMRC, it's on their website, .gov.uk. Do not wait to the last minute, and as I said, make sure your return has been filed. They won't talk to you unless you've got that arranged. Now, effectively, you need to think about your own personal situation, what you can and cannot afford. HMRC will want the money as quickly as possible, but you have the facility to arrange things on a monthly basis. They will deal with taxpayers from all walks of life and all circumstances. In theory, they are trained to have some degree of empathy. Now, you do have something called, folks, a time to pay arrangement. That's a very popular solution if you can't pay your tax all in one go, you've not put that tax aside, and it's a time to pay arrangement. Now, this is an agreement with HMRC that you will pay your tax bill in a series of instalments over a period of time rather than all in one go. Unfortunately, you will still be charged interest on those delays, by the way, until the debt is fully settled. Now, what the advantage of a time to pay arrangement is, it will stop any future penalties coming up. Now, when you do call HMRC, make sure you know what your monthly income and outgoings are. You'll be asked those questions, what your financial obligations are, and they want to know, have you considered fully your budget? And perhaps they might ask you why you've not got the money to pay them. Next, review your own budget. Now, either before or after speaking with HMRC, ideally do it for both, take a close look at your personal cash flow, your personal finances. Make a list of all the outgoings, the incomings, what's essential, what's not so essential. It's always good discipline to do that anyway, and then see how much you can spare each month to pay towards your tax bill. Now this honest, insightful review to yourself not only gives you a sense of discipline, but gives you an idea of what your affordability is, where you can perhaps reduce your spending, delay the spending. The key is to get the tax bill squared up as quickly as possible. Tiny little margins, tiny little improvements here and there will do wonders for that cash flow. Now, what else can we do? Well, you can consider seeking professional help. I don't mean of the well-being type, I mean in the world of tax, that you can get some support and assistance. If you've got an accountant, contact them, talk to them. If you haven't got an accountant, it's worthwhile perhaps shopping around. There's a link at the bottom in this post, so if you want to contact us to have a conversation, we'd be more than happy to. Now, professional advice does come with a fee. That's going to be quite normal, it's going to be quite natural. But in the long term, think about the price of stress and the cost of stress, and there's going to be a good balance to be made. Your advisor can make sure you're claiming what is correct, review it, change if necessary. They can negotiate sometimes more effectively with HMRC. They can help you plan for your future tax bills. And as a quick takeaway, folks, if you're invoicing clients, if you're self-employed, put away a percentage of each £100 that you invoice. Typically, anything within 20% is a good working number. Dialogue is the key. So you must make sure that you do not put your head in the sand. You must make sure you don't hide under that duvet, tempting though it may be. It's not going to go away. So make sure you speak, contact HMRC. If circumstances change, make sure you let them know as well. If your financial circumstances change for the better or for the worse, inform them ASAP. Now, on the other hand, if circumstances are such that, your income drops because you lose your job, you lose some self-employed income or something, then take the time, reflect, but go back to HMRC as soon as possible to tell them what's going on. Now, it's important to remember that you want to plan for next time round, next year, and not just focus too much on what's gone before. So put money aside, put a percentage away of the income that's not being taxed at source, put that into a separate savings account so that buffer will build up for the next year. Now, finances are unpredictable. Again, you may wish to have an arrangement with your accountant, your tax advisor, to have regular catch-ups. For our clients, what we do, we provide them with regular reports. They've got some idea what's going on, and there's no nasty surprises. Planning ahead is going to save you a lot of headaches, a lot of surprises. Now, what can we conclude? Now, first of all, not being able to pay your UK personal tax bill on time, and the deadline, for example, for 23-24 is the 31st of January 25, can feel terrifying. But remember, you're not alone, and don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Act quickly, check out the ways that you can make those arrangements. Now, it is possible, by the way, if you don't fancy investing time talking to HMRC directly, you can make the arrangement yourself online. Generally speaking, under 30K's worth of tax debts, not more than 60 days has gone, and you've been a good person and you've kept your arrears away. Now, planning for me is a fundamental discipline that you should do, whether you're a business or otherwise. So having some form of idea what your finances are looking like, a cash flow, is going to make it easier to navigate those paths ahead.